What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Don't Call This a Podcast. I am your host, Ryan McLaughlin. My co-host could not be with me today. Both Courtney and Dee are a little bit busy. They're out right now, but it's all good. They should be back sooner or later. So thank y'all so much for continuing to support the website, thekidswearcrowns.com. And Don't Call This a Podcast. As usual, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, go to Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or to what's the one I can't think of right now off the top of my head, Radio Public. Make sure you subscribe to Don't Call This a Podcast there. We will be added to Spotify and to Stitcher very, very soon. So for those of y'all that are using those platforms, we'll be caught up with you here in the coming weeks. Joining us today, a good friend of the site, a follower of all of us, and we follow each other on Twitter. And I believe she has a very interesting story that she wants to share with everybody. So if you haven't been following, last few weeks, we have been doing a different approach. Don't Call This a Podcast. We've been talking with people who are doing something special, creating new things, or who have been creating things. And we've wanted to just kind of talk to them about their process, why they're doing what they do. Over the last few weeks, we've had authors like Ms. Pasaka Simone. We've had sports writers like Mr. Charles McDonald. And we've had showrunners like Dessa Larkin Butte. And so joining us today is Ms. Natalian Johnson.
What's up?
She is the one of the founders of Sober Culture. And so we want to talk to her about a little bit about her journey and everything involving sober culture and what she has managed to do with it. So, Natalian, how you doing today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I am good. I'm exhausted, but I'm here.
Same here. I am super tired.
So, for those of y'all listening, we're recording this on a Friday. So, if we just sound beat, the week has probably gotten to us, and
Listen.
we're just trying to make it through. So, Natalian, talk to us about where are you from originally?
So I'm originally from Calera, Alabama. It's a really small town, maybe
Ooh-wee.
like 30 minutes south of Birmingham. Born and raised here. So yeah, I've been here all my life. There's really not much here, but I actually love it. I like being in the country. I'm not really a city person, so I love it out here. It's very quiet and peaceful.
Awesome. So grew up in Calera, and did you make your way up to Birmingham pretty often on weekends, or what?
I
What?
did. Like literally everything that I do, like even now, is in Birmingham. Like I work at Children's of Alabama, so I obviously have to drive to Birmingham every single day because, like I said, there's really not much to do here in Calera. So like all of my friends live in Birmingham or somewhere up towards that way. So I've pretty much just always hung out there.
So tell us a little bit about your childhood, growing up in Calera. What were things like? Were you, did you have, siblings? How was your childhood?
So my childhood was very fun from what I remember. Like I said, grew up in Calera. I have two sisters and a brother. We all graduated from Calera High School. I was in the band, a cheerleader, played softball. So pretty much just been here all my life. Yeah, like that's really it. I don't really remember a lot from my childhood, but I don't have like any bad memories from it.
No, I got you. So grew up in Birmingham, hung with friends a lot. Um, what I wanted to eventually get into, and I guess we'll start moving that direction. We mentioned earlier that you started a group, a nonprofit organization called Sober Culture, and
Yes.
Sober Culture was brought about through some of your experiences and struggles. Can you tell us about what led to the creation of this nonprofit?
Absolutely. So, okay, let's go back a little bit. So, I was very quiet and reserved in high school. Didn't really get out much because my mom, she was like one of those strict parents. It was like I could only go to my cousin's house, but even then, it was like I couldn't stay all night. She was coming to pick us up at like 8:30. So, yeah, like I think after high school, I was like, oh, I'm grown now and kind of do what I want. I didn't go to college straight after high school. I'm in school now, thankfully. Super excited. I'm a blazer. And so,
Go Blazers.
yes, of course. And so I want to say maybe around 19 was when I kind of started partying and drinking. So I had my first drink at 19 years old. And at that time, I was just kind of experiencing, trying to figure out like what it was. Because so many of my other friends, they were drinking in high school, but my mom was so strict. I never, got a chance to do that. And so by the time I turned 21, like I was literally a full-blown alcoholic, like drinking every day. And I think that stems from maybe depression a little bit, wanting to be accepted by the wrong people. And so I would look at them and it was always like, oh, Natalie, you can drink, whatever, whatever. And so I would drink, and then by the time I turned 23, I found myself in rehab, and here I am, a 23-year-old in rehab, like looking around, like, what in the world has my life come to? And so people always ask me what happened between the age of 21 and 23. And I'm 30 now. So even till this day, like those 2 years of my life, I do not remember because I was drunk literally every single day. I would drink on my lunch break. I would drink if I was bored. I would drink if I was sleepy. And the thing is, like, I'm a little person. So I would drink maybe 6 to 8 beers a day, followed by like a whole bottle of tequila. And I had got to the point to where I had started experiencing with pills, which this is actually the first time I've mentioned this. I would mix muscle relaxers with my
Oh,
alcohol because it
wow.
would make me drunk instantly. And, I was the person who was dumb enough to get in the car and drive from Birmingham all the way back to Calera drunk out of my mind. So, there's been many nights and mornings where I've woke up and been like, how the heck did I get home? I actually thought I hit a person one night because I looked outside and there was blood on the front of the car, but it was from a possum or something I hit, because I literally backtracked to figure out what had happened because it scared me so bad. And you would have thought that would have made me stop drinking, but it didn't. My last night that I went out drinking was actually my mom's birthday, May 19th, 2012. And I remember her looking at me saying, she was like, you don't need to go out tonight. I don't have a good feeling about it. Just stay home. And I was like, no, it's my friend's birthday. I'm going to go out. And so even now, all I remember is I went to my friend's house. I had 2 bottles of wine and maybe like a few beers and some pills. And we went to Martini's because Martini's was jumping back then. That was the spot I would go to like every Saturday. And so after that, I remember I woke up on my friend's floor at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon the next day with no recollection of like what happened at all the night before.
Mm.
Besides the fact that, my mom had been trying to get in touch with me. She had Hoover Police Department looking for me. She literally thought I was dead because she hadn't heard from me all night. And she knew, that her daughter was an alcoholic. And so that day was when I went to rehab. And then because she was like, you can either go to rehab or you can get out of my house. She's like, I'm tired of it now. You're worrying me. Like, I can't do it. And so I think seeing her cry is what really made me realize, wow, like, you're hurting your mom. So you got to like really get it together. So yeah, I went to rehab. Let's see, I was in rehab for 6 months, which was it. Oh my gosh, it is the longest process ever because they make you go to a hospital. You have to detox. They have to evaluate you to make sure you're not suicidal, which I never got to that point. I was never suicidal at all. It was just, I just found myself binge drinking every day. Here I am now with the nonprofit Sober Culture, which was actually founded by Christine Lee. And she has another amazing story also. She battled alcoholism for a lot of years. And I saw her story on Facebook. So I reached out to her. And then, yeah, we literally had a meeting. And that's how Sober Culture came about, like off of her story on Facebook.
So let's talk about that a little bit because
Okay.
you're happen to browse around on Facebook and you see her story. And
Mm-hmm.
so what was it about her story that connected with you in a sense, not just from well, we had similar arcs, but because I'm sure you met plenty of people in rehab or during your time, you saw plenty of stories that may have been similar to yours, but what was it about hers that made you go, I need to talk to her?
I think the thing that really captivated me was I looked at her and the person she is now, and I was like, there's no way this girl has gone through, what she's talking about. Like, I just had to meet her because she's a gorgeous girl. And when you think of somebody, have this image in your head of like what they may look like. But it was like once I read her story and I met with her, I was instantly just drawn to her because like hearing it really blew my mind. And also the fact that knowing that there was another person out there who looks like me who has struggled with what I have. Because even now, sometimes when I mention it to people, they're blown away. They're like, what? Like, there's no way you used to be an alcoholic. Like, look at you. And I'm like, hey, if that's God's favor on my life, honestly, because I know I'm not supposed to be in the position that I'm in now. Like, it's so crazy to me that people even like, even this podcast, if somebody cares enough to hear my story, to know that, it can help someone else. And so I think that's really what it was with her, because after I talked to her, she was just so open about what she's dealt with, and our stories were so similar, but hers was just a little bit more deeper than mine, because she's experienced, rape and molestation and things like that, and I don't know what that's like. And so it was truly amazing and like a godsend to even meet her, because we weren't friends on Facebook. Someone posted her story and I saw it, and so I friended her and messaged her, and we set up a meeting like 2 weeks later, and we just instantly clicked.
So let's talk about that meeting. Y'all set up the meeting, and when you were going into this meeting, were you what were you aiming for with this meeting? Just to get to know her, or were you trying to actually go somewhere with this?
Well, at first it was more of like a, hey, let's meet, and talk, and just see what we come up with. But we never thought it would be up with. I think it was like sober girls or saved and sober, something silly like that. And then we brainstormed on it more. We really gotta like do something with this. She was like, because there's not an organization in Birmingham or anywhere else that we know of that is like trying to raise awareness for alcohol abuse. I think people think that, oh, I have 5 or 6 drinks and black out one night, I don't have a problem. But it's like, that's an issue, if you're blacking out from drinking. Like, and the great thing about our organization is we realize that everybody does not want to be sober, which is okay. My journey is not going to be your journey. It's all about moderation. So we promote balance for the people that are 21 and above. Some people can have one drink or a glass of wine and be fine. And that doesn't equal being an alcoholic. But if you're sitting at work all day thinking about, oh, I can't wait until I get off to, have a drink or have this bottle of wine, then you need to take a step back and reevaluate like why you're so anxious to drink. And so I think that's drawn in like an older crowd for us also, because they realize that we don't just cater to teenagers. Like, we cater to the adults that do drink, but we have to let them know like you don't need to be drinking too much, because that's where the issue starts.
So, what are some of the things that you all do within sober culture? So, I know you talked a little bit about what the aims and the goals are and what the mission is, but what do you do on a day-to-day basis? How do you, um, what's the word I'm looking for? How do you go about
Community service.
showcasing, yeah, community service and showcasing your ideals?
So basically, we meet like once. We try to meet like, we meet a lot actually, and we have all these ideas. But some of the things that we have done, we've gotten into the school system. We've spoken at the Lowndes County School District, Ramsey High School. I spoke at the University of Alabama, and we just kind of promote and tell people, what we're doing. And we held a water drive actually for the homeless over in Birmingham at Lynn Park, and we were able to. I think we ended up having like over 500. Many people came out, and it was just such a blessing to be able to give these people clean water and give them, something that they can have, during the day, because it was super hot last year in June, and it was just amazing that so many people donated to us. And during the holidays, we held a Thanksgiving drive, and we were able to, I think we like full meals. So they got like everything that you would have for Thanksgiving. And so, yeah, we're really big about giving back. We realize that it takes a community to help people. And we have so many supporters, like people that have never met us are always so willing to donate and just lend a helping hand. And so it's so amazing the way that the city of Birmingham has just really like stepped out to us and extended their hand so that, they can help us help others.
So, as sober culture continues to grow, what are some of your, I guess, ultimate plans with the organization?
So one of our main goals that we really, really, really want to try to accomplish this year is we want to start speaking out of state. Like, we've got Birmingham, we've got Alabama, but right now we're just trying to market more so that other people can hear about us, and know what we're about. And also, we have a sobriety walk slash 5K coming up. Last year it ended up being like really big, but this year we want it to be bigger. And so we're super excited about that, because the thing about the walk is you can come out and you can walk in honor of someone, or you can walk in honor of yourself, or maybe someone, you know, that you've lost to substance abuse. So it's truly amazing, the things that we have written down that have come to pass, because honestly, we never thought that the sobriety walk would even be an option, because it was so last minute when we put it together, but it came together so good. But the main thing this year is, you know, just branching out and going to different states and speaking. And also, we want to start getting more merchandise, because people love our shirts, but it's like they sell so quick. And we're like, man, like we got to keep replenishing. But it's so much, and it's just me and her. So we're trying to make it work.
So do you have any plans for expansion anytime soon? Since I know it's just the two of you, but are you trying to grow the workforce, or are you trying to more so establish an identity and presence before you do that?
We actually are. So we have to have 3 board members. We currently have 2, and we're working on one more. So we're actually planning to meet very soon so that we can get all of that finalized, because, like I said, things have just taken off. And during Thanksgiving last year, it was just me and her trying to buy all these groceries and put all this stuff together, and it was a wreck, to be honest with you. But yeah, we definitely want to expand, and as we get bigger, you know, have more people come on and help us.
Where can people find out more about sober culture?
So we are on
Uh-oh, I need you to say that
our
again. I need you to
oh,
say that again. You went out for a little bit.
So we're on Facebook and Instagram at Sober Culture, and you can see all of our events and what we have going on. And we actually try to highlight someone who is dealing with alcoholism each month, or somebody who, even if you're sober for a week or 2 weeks, like we celebrate that, because that's progress. I think people don't realize how hard it is to stop drinking, or to stop, you know, using whatever drug it is that you use. And so we realized that while celebrating people, it gives them like a boost. It lets them say, hey, you know what? Like, people are rooting for me. I can do this. So yeah, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sober Culture.
And how can people contact you if they want to get in touch with you?
So to get in touch with us, you can email us at soberculture2017@gmail.com.
Fantastic. Natalian, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. You can follow Natalian on Twitter at Nat Gotti.
Yep.
You can also, as you mentioned before, follow Sober Culture on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can email them, soberculture2017 at
gmail.com.
gmail.com. Thank you so much for your time. I
Thank
know
you for
that,
having me.
yeah, I know that we're all worn out from the week, so I'm gonna let you go and let you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I hope you have a great weekend also.